biggest story.
Have you ever witnessed firsthand the disheartening spectacle of someone being openly and cruelly demeaned, targeted simply because of superficial judgments based on their appearance, their race, or their perceived position in the intricate social hierarchy? Have you ever felt a burning sense of injustice, a visceral reaction to the mistreatment of another human being, a silent outrage simmering beneath the surface? Tonight's narrative promises to ignite a fire within your very soul, a spark of righteous indignation against the forces of prejudice and unwarranted arrogance. Prepare to be utterly shocked by the blatant display of cruelty, captivated by the unfolding drama, and, ultimately, deeply and profoundly satisfied as you witness a young, underestimated woman not only rise above the petty and malicious attempts to diminish her inherent worth but completely and utterly turn the tables on the arrogant, entitled individuals who dared to publicly humiliate her. This is a compelling story of quiet, unwavering strength, unexpected power lurking beneath the surface of humility, and a delicious, meticulously executed revenge that will leave you cheering for the underdog. Get ready to witness the ultimate act of defiance against unwarranted prejudice and unearned privilege. The opulent stage is meticulously set, Le Chateau, Manhattan's most prestigious and exclusive restaurant, a shimmering haven for the city's elite, a place where the powerful congregate and the wealthy celebrate. It's an important night for many of the city's power brokers and socialites, a night filled with unspoken expectations and potential deals. The very air itself hums with an unspoken energy, a palpable aura of immense wealth and unbridled privilege that permeates every corner of the room. Towering chandeliers, meticulously adorned with countless shimmering crystals, cast a warm, golden glow across the expansive room, illuminating the impeccably dressed patrons, each a testament to affluence and status, and the flawless white tablecloths that symbolize the restaurant's commitment to unparalleled luxury. The gentle, sophisticated sound of crystal glasses clinking together in celebratory toasts, whispered secrets, and quiet, influential conversations adds to the overall ambience of unparalleled sophistication and exclusivity, a symphony of wealth and power playing out in perfect harmony. This is a place where vast fortunes are made and swiftly lost, monumental deals are sealed with a handshake and a glass of champagne, and reputations are either solidified into unwavering pillars of respect or shattered into irreparable fragments, their remnants scattered among the remnants of spilled wine and forgotten dreams. Into this rarefied, almost ethereal atmosphere strides Nathan Belmont, a ruthless billionaire known throughout the city, and widely feared, for his aggressive and often unscrupulous business tactics and his complete and utter lack of empathy for those he deems beneath him. He has cultivated and nurtured a well-earned reputation for crushing anyone who dares to stand in his way, whether intentionally or inadvertently, or, even worse in his distorted worldview, anyone he deems beneath him in terms of social standing, wealth, or perceived power. He enters the grand restaurant with his carefully curated entourage of equally elite and equally arrogant friends and business associates, all dressed in impeccably tailored, custom-designed suits that scream wealth and status, each thread a testament to their unbridled affluence. They radiate an air of unearned arrogance and utter entitlement, their every gesture and facial expression conveying a blatant sense of superiority over everyone else in the room, as if they alone possess the right to occupy this space. They genuinely believe, in their deeply ingrained and delusional way, that they are the undisputed masters of their own universe, that their wealth grants them immunity from consequences and the right to judge all those around them. Shortly after Belmont and his cronies settle in, Selina Carter, a strikingly beautiful and undeniably elegant 30-year-old black woman, enters the restaurant alone, exuding an aura of poised confidence. She carries herself with an unmistakable elegance and a palpable aura of quiet strength that subtly hints at unseen depths of character and resilience. Her dress, while simple and understated in its design, is undeniably classy and tasteful, reflecting her own innate sense of style and sophistication without resorting to ostentatious displays of wealth. However, in the judgmental eyes of the ultra-rich clientele of Le Chateau, a collective that prides itself on its discerning taste and ruthless social Darwinism, she is immediately perceived as an outsider, someone who does not quite belong in their exclusive and carefully guarded world. They instantly make snap judgments and unfair assumptions about her based solely on her outward appearance and her perceived lack of social standing, blinded by their own prejudices and preconceived notions. As Selena gracefully walks past Nathan's prominently positioned table, his cold, calculating eyes scan her from head to toe with undisguised disdain and blatant disrespect. He deliberately scoffs, a sharp, dismissive sound just loud enough to be clearly heard by Selena and those within earshot, and smirks condescendingly at his equally judgmental companions, seeking their validation and approval for his petty cruelty. "Wow," he sneers loudly, ensuring that his cutting, venomous remark reaches Selena's ears and those of everyone else in the immediate vicinity, maximizing the intended impact of his cruel words. Did someone accidentally let the help in tonight? Perhaps they mistook this esteemed establishment for the staff entrance. How utterly embarrassing. His friends, ever eager to please their powerful leader and validate their own perceived superiority by aligning themselves with his prejudices, erupt into forced, hollow laughter, their eyes following Selena with undisguised disdain and cruel mockery, reveling in her discomfort. They relish the fleeting opportunity to feel superior and more important at someone else's expense, momentarily bolstering their fragile egos through the act of public humiliation. Selena pauses momentarily upon hearing the crass and intentionally offensive remark, her pace faltering for only a fraction of a second, but she steadfastly refuses to react outwardly, denying them the satisfaction of seeing her discomfort. She maintains her impeccable composure, her facial expression remaining calm and unreadable, betraying no hint of anger or hurt. She simply offers a slight, almost imperceptible smile, a subtle and enigmatic acknowledgement of their childish and pathetic behavior, and continues walking gracefully to her reserved table, refusing to give them the satisfaction of a visible reaction or the validation they so desperately crave. Nathan, thoroughly enjoying the fleeting feeling of power he derives from belittling others and reveling in the attention he is receiving from his sycophantic friends, decides to escalate the already tense and uncomfortable situation, seeking to amplify the humiliation and further assert his dominance. He signals imperiously for a waiter, snapping his fingers with a dismissive gesture as if summoning a servant or a trained animal, demonstrating his complete lack of respect for the service staff. "Bring a bottle of our most expensive wine," he says mockingly, his voice dripping with sarcasm and calculated cruelty, "to that lady over there." He gestures dismissively toward Selena's table with a wave of his hand, barely acknowledging her presence as a human being. Let's see if she even knows how to drink it properly, or if she'll just spill it all over her dress. What a sight that would be. The waiter, clearly uncomfortable with Nathan's blatant disrespect and his blatant display of classism but acutely aware of his precarious position and the billionaire's immense influence over the restaurant's success, hesitates briefly, torn between his own moral compass and the potential consequences of defying such a powerful patron. However, fearing the potential repercussions of disobedience, including the possible loss of his job, he reluctantly obeys Nathan's cruel command, fetching the requested bottle of obscenely expensive wine and presenting it to Selena with forced politeness, masking his disgust with a professional demeanor. Selena, completely unfazed by Nathan's continued attempts to provoke her and ignite a reaction, watches with detached amusement and a hint of pity as the expensive wine is ceremoniously placed before her, a testament to his desperate need for validation. She fully understands the childish game he is playing, and she resolutely refuses to be drawn into it, maintaining her calm exterior and denying him the satisfaction of a visible response. Emboldened by Selena's lack of visible reaction and eager to further humiliate her in front of the entire restaurant, maximizing the spectacle of her supposed inferiority, Nathan stands up abruptly from his table and approaches her, invading her personal space with blatant disregard for her comfort or autonomy. "I'm genuinely curious," he smirks, His eyes narrowed with malicious intent and a glimmer of sadistic pleasure. "What brings you here to Le Chateau? Is there a charity event I was previously unaware of? Or perhaps you are simply someone's plus one who got hopelessly lost on the way to the restroom? Do you even know where you are?" Selina finally meets his unwavering gaze, her eyes filled with an inner strength and quiet dignity that belies her outward composure, a silent defiance burning beneath the surface. "I'm here for dinner, just like you," she replies calmly, her voice steady and devoid of any discernible emotion, refusing to give him the satisfaction of seeing her upset. Nathan throws his head back and lets out a loud, mocking laugh, a theatrical display of superiority designed to further humiliate her in front of the assembled diners. "I highly doubt that. People like you simply don't belong in a place like this. You're clearly out of your element and deeply uncomfortable." His friends, lapping up his every word and gesture like trained seals eager for a reward, whisper amongst themselves, chuckling cruelly and nodding in agreement, reinforcing their collective sense of superiority and fueling their shared prejudice. One of the women at his table, dripping in diamonds and outrageously expensive designer clothes, adds her own venomous contribution to the public humiliation, seeking to elevate her own status by tearing down another woman. "Sweetheart," she says in a saccharine voice dripping with false sweetness and veiled contempt, "you should be serving the drinks, not drinking them. Perhaps you should seriously consider applying for a job here. You might actually be good at something." The entire restaurant falls silent, the clinking of glasses and the murmur of polite conversations abruptly ceasing, replaced by an oppressive hush. All eyes are now laser-focused on Selina, the unfortunate target of Nathan's cruel and completely unprovoked attack, a spectacle unfolding before their captivated gaze. The tension in the air is palpable, thick enough to cut with a knife, hanging heavy like a suffocating blanket. As the cruel laughter and mocking whispers gradually die down, dissipating into the stifling silence, the restaurant manager, a distinguished and impeccably dressed man named Bernard, suddenly appears, seemingly out of nowhere, a silent guardian of the establishment's decorum. He casts a fleeting, disapproving glance at Nathan, his normally composed expression conveying his utter disdain for the billionaire's boorish and unacceptable behavior, a silent condemnation of his actions. He then turns to Selina, his demeanor shifting immediately and dramatically to one of deep respect, genuine concern, and unwavering support, a stark contrast to his earlier neutrality. "Miss Carter," he says, addressing her formally and respectfully, emphasizing her title and treating her with the utmost deference, "do you wish for these men to be immediately removed from the premises? I assure you, it would be my distinct pleasure to personally escort them out immediately and ensure they never darken our doorstep again." Nathan frowns, his brow furrowing in confusion, a mixture of annoyance and a dawning sense of unease creeping into his arrogant facade. "What the hell are you talking about, Bernard? Who do you think you're talking to? Do you know who I am?" Selina calmly and deliberately places her wine glass down on the table, the delicate sound of crystal against wood amplified in the sudden and oppressive silence, drawing even more attention to her every move. "I was originally intending to keep a low profile this evening and simply enjoy a quiet and uneventful meal," she begins, her voice now carrying a newfound confidence, unwavering authority, and commanding presence that instantly silences any remaining murmurs, "but since you so insistently refuse to allow me that simple pleasure and insist on making such a public and embarrassing scene," she slowly stands to her full height, her aura subtly but undeniably shifting into one of absolute power, unwavering command, and unyielding control, a transformation that captivates and silences the entire room. "I, in fact, own 51% of this very restaurant, Le Chateau." A collective gasp of surprise and disbelief echoes across the room, a ripple of shock spreading through the assembled diners as they realize the enormity and the implications of Selina's stunning revelation, a moment of collective realization that fundamentally alters the power dynamics of the situation. Nathan's face, previously flushed with arrogance, self-assurance, and the thrill of domination, turns ashen, his features betraying a mixture of disbelief, horror, and a rapidly growing sense of panic. "No. That's utterly impossible," he stammers, his voice laced with disbelief and a growing sense of panic, the foundations of his carefully constructed world beginning to crumble around him. "I inherited the controlling shares from my late husband, Richard Carter," Selina explains, her voice now sharp and unwavering, each word carrying the weight of her newfound authority and the sting of his past actions. "And you, Mr. Belmont? You just made the biggest and most consequential mistake of your entire life." Nathan glares at Selina, desperately trying to regain control of the rapidly deteriorating situation and salvage his rapidly crumbling reputation, clinging to the vestiges of his former power. "So what?" he sneers, attempting to mask his growing unease and palpable fear with a forced bravado that rings hollow and unconvincing. "You're just a rich widow playing boss for a night. You probably don't even know how to run a lemonade stand, let alone a sophisticated business like this." Selina smirks, a slow, knowing smile spreading across her face, her eyes glinting with a mixture of amusement and steely resolve. "You see, Mr. Belmont, I had absolutely no interest in personally handling the day-to-day operations of this restaurant, that is, until tonight. Your actions have forced my hand." She turns to the manager, Bernard, her voice now firm and resolute, leaving no room for argument or negotiation. "From this moment forward, Mr. Belmont and his entire entourage are permanently banned from all of my establishments, including Le Chateau and any other venture that bears my name. I trust that this directive will be enforced immediately and without exception." A low murmur sweeps through the hushed crowd as the diners process the full implications of Selina's decisive action and the swiftness of her calculated revenge. The power dynamic has shifted completely and irrevocably, and Nathan Belmont, once the arrogant and self-proclaimed king of the castle, is now facing the dire consequences of his own deplorable behavior and his blatant disregard for basic human decency. Nathan's arrogance shatters before their very eyes, replaced by a stark mixture of disbelief, impotent anger, and profound humiliation, his carefully constructed facade crumbling under the weight of his own actions. "You can't possibly do that. You have no right," he protests, his voice rising in desperation as he realizes the magnitude of his miscalculation. "Oh, I can. And I just did," Selina replies coolly, her eyes fixed on Nathan with unwavering resolve and a hint of satisfied vengeance. Two large, imposing security guards step forward, their very presence serving as a clear and unambiguous signal that Nathan's reign of terror has come to an abrupt end. "You need to leave the premises immediately, sir," one of them says firmly, his voice leaving no room for argument or further negotiation. Nathan hesitates for a moment, his reputation crumbling around him like a house of cards in a hurricane, his carefully cultivated image of invincibility shattered into a million pieces. His friends, suddenly embarrassed and unwilling to be publicly associated with his dramatic downfall, slowly and discreetly start gathering their belongings, eager to distance themselves from the impending disaster and avoid becoming collateral damage in his self-inflicted demise. As he storms towards the exit, defeated, humiliated, and thoroughly disgraced, Selina speaks one final time, her voice ringing out clearly and deliberately across the now completely silent restaurant, ensuring that every word reaches its intended target. "I sincerely hope you enjoyed your last meal here at Le Chateau, Nathan," she says, her voice laced with a delicious sense of irony and a hint of triumphant satisfaction. "Because this is the closest you'll ever get to real class." The restaurant erupts into thunderous applause, the diners expressing their enthusiastic support for Selina and their collective disdain for Nathan's appalling and reprehensible behavior, a resounding condemnation of his arrogance and prejudice. By the next day, the sensational story of Selina's triumphant revenge spreads like wildfire throughout Manhattan's elite circles, fueled by the insatiable appetite for gossip, social media's viral reach, and the collective desire to witness the downfall of the powerful and arrogant. Nathan Belmont's carefully cultivated reputation is utterly and irreparably destroyed, his arrogance exposed for the shallow and hollow facade it always was, revealing the insecure and petty man beneath the veneer of wealth and power. Clients begin to pull out of lucrative deals, his businesses suffer significant financial losses, his social standing plummets to an all-time low, and he becomes a pariah in the very circles he once dominated. Meanwhile, Selena, the young black widow they tried to break, humiliate, and diminish, stands stronger than ever before, her quiet strength transformed into a powerful and enduring symbol of resilience, justice, and the unwavering power of the underestimated. She not only reclaims her rightful power but uses it to dismantle the very structures of privilege and prejudice that allowed Nathan Belmont to act with such impunity and arrogance, creating a ripple effect that challenges the established norms of the elite circles. The world, or at least that small corner of Manhattan society, learns a valuable and enduring lesson. Never underestimate the power of the underestimated, for they often possess hidden depths and untapped potential that can reshape the world around them. And never judge a book by its cover, especially when that book holds the keys to your own downfall and the potential to expose your deepest flaws.